Hammer, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you guys?
Missed you at Soul Bloom this weekend.
Yeah, man, you would have loved Chloe.
You would have
Yeah,
loved. You would have loved Coco Jones.
I was just worried about whether my large brim hat to protect me from the sun would
Well,
make
that's
me
that.
stand out.
Yeah, that's a good point, James. That's a good point. ESPN wrote an article about potential Rookie of the Year candidates. They threw Sasha in here, said it's an outside chance, but noted his defense could keep him off the floor and limit his minutes. Have you ever heard anything like that before regarding Sasha Vezenkov?
Well, I mean, it certainly didn't keep any of the other Kings players off the court last year who didn't play defense.
No,
So let's just be
no.
real. Yeah. So, look, is he a great defender? No, he's not. I mean, he's a little heavy footed, but we're talking about a stretch four here. Like, he should be able to hold his own. He's actually a really smart basketball player. As a team defender, he's probably going to do just fine. His switchability is fine. I think he'll be able to defend, 3-4s. He's not going to be like a dude you want in isolation on a 3 or even a 2, but I don't think he's going to have to worry so much about defense. And look, if the Kings have that issue, it's not like they can't make defensive changes up front, like go to Alex Len more, or if Nerlens Noel makes a team, go to Nerlens Noel to protect a guy like Sasha. I just don't think it's going to be such a big deal that it keeps him off the floor, especially when he's an elite 3-point shooter and really a really good fit for this team.
Yeah, man, I agree. I'm not here to say he's going to be Tony Allen, but how do we even know he's not going to be a good defender? You know what I mean? I know we've seen him in EuroLeague, and maybe he was a spotty defender, but I'm also not going to sit up here and act like I know Sasha, the way he plays, the way it's going to translate to the NBA in that respect. We don't know that. So I don't know. I guess my problem is I don't know how you can just pencil in as like, yeah, this is going to be the reason why he doesn't hit it because he's not a good defender. We don't know. We don't know
Well,
what it looks like on the NBA level.
yeah, I think the other thing I would point out too is who's going to take his minutes because they're a better defender. It's not like this team is packed with great defensive players that need to, a ton of time. The only guy who's really known for his defense is Davion Mitchell. And outside of that, everyone else is league average or a little below. That's just the way this team is built. It's the way that the 2002 Sacramento Kings were built when they made it all the way to the Western Conference Finals. It was a bunch of offensive players. So, look, I don't know that he's going to stand out any worse than anyone else. And again, I'm not sure who would even step over and take the spot if he did. So I'm kind of intrigued to see how Mike Brown puts his rotations together. He's a guy who usually relies heavily on veteran players, and I think Sasha is not going to be looked at as a rookie. He'll be looked at as a veteran player with a very specific role on this team. And again, if you're going to put him in isolation situations, sure, he's not going to fare that well against super fast small forwards or even like some of the craftier power forwards. But what I would say is that he's strong, he's physical, he's played professionally for like 13 years. Like, this is a guy with a long track record of success, and it certainly didn't keep him off the floor or stop him from winning the Greek League title or an MVP or taking his team all the way to the EuroLeague finals.
His offensive style translates perfectly here, doesn't it, with the way this team played last year?
Yeah, I think so.
Because there were guys like Rashawn. Like Rashawn had a variety of things that kept them off the floor. Defense was probably one of them, but it felt like they couldn't find a fit for him in the offensive end. Terrence could shoot from time to time, but he was a problem on the defensive end. Sasha, regardless of what he is on the defensive end, is a significantly better fit, or it seems to be. James, he's a significantly better fit on the offensive end than either of those two guys were.
Yeah, I think so. And look, what he's going to do is he's going to do exactly what Keegan Murray did last year. He's going to have basically the same role. He's going to run to the corner. He's going to have some opportunities to come off a screen out of the corner and shoot from the elbow. He's going to have some back cuts. He's absolutely brilliant off the ball. That's something that people are going to watch. Like all of a sudden he's at the rim and putting the ball in. And so I really think that he's going to fit like pretty seamlessly. And then I'll also point out like a guy like Chris Duarte, right? If they start having issues with defensive problems with one specific player, like Sasha, the first thing isn't to bench the guy. The first thing is to try to mix up around him and see if you can find better support pieces. And so Chris Duarte 2 years ago in his rookie season was incredible defensively, like really, really good. He's 6'6". He can play the 2. He can play the 3. So if you're going to start doing like get crafty with your lineups, and we could see, Davion and Malik, where Davion is a really, really good defender, but you throw in Duarte into that mix, that will help Sasha shore up his area as well. And so I think there are a lot of ways that this thing can work. And to be honest with you, the Kings really didn't concern themselves all that much with who was struggling defensively and who wasn't. It's about being out of place. If you're not in the right rotation, if you're not doing the right things to help your teammates out, that's when guys like Terrence Davis or Chimezie Metu got into trouble. So Sasha Vezenkov is a really smart, high basketball IQ player. He's not going to have a huge amount of problem fitting in a team defensive concept.
Team defense. I think people really lose sight of team defense. Individual defense is one thing, but being able to understand team defense dynamics and have that IQ to be able to execute what's good to be a team defender, I think that gets lost in all this. The other thing that gets lost when you talk about, or ESPN talks about, if he's going to be a good defender or poor defender or whatever, is rebounding is a part of defense. And he was a pretty good rebounder in EuroLeague. So if you don't think he's like capable of guarding Giannis one-on-one, but comes in here and is a good rebounder, that is, I would say he's a decent defender because of that right there, because you got to be able to secure the basketball. Sabonis isn't necessarily able to guard a lot of people one-on-one, but he's the league leading rebounder. And that plays into what he can do on the team defensive concept.
Yeah, and I'll say too, like players like Sabonis, it's not that Sabonis is a bad defender. It's just he's bad in space. So if you leave him hanging out defending a guard on the perimeter, yeah, he's going to get beat. That's the way it goes. But that's also the case for almost every center in the league. There's very few guys who can sit there and hang on the perimeter and really, hold up defensively. Like within 6 feet, Sabonis is a really solid defender. He's super strong. He doesn't let anybody get inside. And then he's a great rebounder. I mean, led the league in rebounding. So, like, I think Vezenkov can be a solid NBA rebounder, but I kind of look at him the same way I look at Keegan Murray. Like, Keegan's 8+ rebounds per game at the college level, we're never going to hold up. What you're hoping is that he can get to like 6.5, especially if he starts taking on more of a power forward role as opposed to bouncing back between the 3 and the 4. I'd say this Sasha the same thing. I mean, if he's playing 18 minutes a game, your hope that you're getting right around like 10 points, 4 rebounds. You shouldn't be expecting anything more than that. I mean, because that's sort of his role is going to be number one on the offensive side. He's going to be stretching the defense. So he's going to be on the perimeter most of the time. There isn't going to be a lot of offense rebounding opportunities for him. On the defensive side of the ball, he's probably not going to be one of your quick lead out guys. He'll probably be in that second wave of lead out guys. And so I would expect him to have plenty of opportunity for defensive rebounds.
I feel like all of this talk about Sasha, I feel like I know who he is and how he's going to work with Sacramento. It was ridiculous. I've never seen him in a Kings uniform and have watched nothing more than those EuroLeague games that we started watching after the playoffs ended. But Chris Duarte is the guy on the Kings roster that I don't know. Like, I saw what he looked like 2 years ago. I was a good kid right here. Like, all right. And then, last year, obviously circumstances changed. I'm trying to figure him out with this roster, James. And that's the one even more sight unseen with Sasha. He's the one where I can't quite put my finger on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to compare him fully to this player because like he's a really good defender, but I think the player I would compare him to is Dylan Brooks. Like on the court, that's what he looks like. The one thing he doesn't do is jack up a bunch of ill-advised mid-range jump shots. He does shoot mid-range jump shots, but he doesn't like usually shoot that much out of his comfort zone. He's a player that, like so many others, have really, really found success as an off-ball shooter paired with Domantas Sabonis. They had a really, really good chemistry when they were with the Pacers, and he knocked down a ton of shots. We talked about this with Holiday. When Holiday came over, he shot something like super crazy, like 48% on passes from Domantas Sabonis from behind the 3-point arc. It was something really, really crazy. And that's what Sabonis does. He really does make players around him better. But I also I think he's going to play a little bit like Herter. Like they have a similar game. He's a better defender, like on paper than Herter is, but they have similar games. They're like jack of all trades. They're really good perimeter shooters. They can get to the basket, but they aren't like high flying dunk guys. A conservative approach to him would be, again, he's going to be a rotational player. Even if it's a back into the rotation, there's a possibility he fights his way into the rotation and eats up more minutes. But this is a guy who can average double figures without any problems. I mean, he did it in his rookie season. He was really, really good for the Pacers. And he's only in his third year, but he's 26. I think he's 26. This is a kid who came out of college really, really late and walked into the league as a seasoned pro and really put up quality numbers across the board as far as, his impact on the game.
Yeah. Stephen Brown, 5'8", 132 in the chat. He says Duarte will return to top 4 once he gets a screen handoff from Domas. And I agree with Stephen. I agree with you, James. I agree with people who've seen these two play and believe that there's a chemistry there and that when they can, kind of get in the same groove offensively, that will get Duarte back to how he played that rookie year, because he was the talk of the NBA for a lot of that rookie season about, the steal he was and everything. And I feel he did a good amount of that on his own. But I also feel like playing with a guy like Sabonis really fit with his skill set. And I think you can see a lot of that coming back when they get back together out here in Sacramento.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at Duarte is if you're swapping out him and Terrence Davis, he's just a more refined version of Terrence Davis. Like he isn't the high flyer that Terrence is. He's not going to get you the big crazy tomahawk dunk on the break. But what he's going to do is he's going to be in proper position. He knows his role. He's going to be able to really eat solid minutes. And I think it goes to the bigger discussion with the Sacramento Kings roster. It's that they're really deep. They didn't make a ton of adjustments, but the adjustments they did do just shored up everything. It tightened everything up. It gave them more options, but also my fear last season, at any moment, Harrison Barnes went down for an extended period of time. The Kings had no answer. They had zero answer. Like we talked about who they could, what happens if De'Aaron Fox goes out or Sabonis, but really for me, the player that they could not afford to lose last year was Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes this season, I wouldn't be shocked if he's down to 28 minutes a game. It's possible he plays 32, but there are other options here that they can rely on to keep Harrison fresh. And, that's a good thing. He played 82 games last year, plus 7 in the playoffs, 89 out of 89 games. I expect him to be able to take a little bit of a step back, allow Keegan Murray to pick up the offensive slack, but then allow these other pieces to really, really help out. And so you're fresh all season long. And then it becomes can you survive without De'Aaron Fox? Can you survive without Domantas Sabonis? And to be honest, yeah, I think that you can't lose multiple players for multiple weeks, but this is one of the deeper teams you're going to run into in the NBA this season. And I point to a team like Phoenix, or I point to a team like Golden State or the Clippers. There are a bunch of teams that their depth is questionable. Even the Denver Nuggets, their depth is questionable. How do they survive? Well, I know how the Kings are going to survive because I've seen the pieces, and I think a lot of them are plug and play. They'll switch out without any problems.
James, do you think for the Kings to follow up on the success of the season that they just had this year to be equally successful or more successful, does Duarte or Sasha have to work out really well, or does Duarte and Sasha have to work out really well?
I would say and I would say, like, there's a possibility that you're just really deep and everybody works out. There's also a possibility that one or two of these players doesn't, or that Duarte has a series of injuries like he did last season. You know, there are always these possibilities. I mean, the Kings were so healthy last season. But like, I think the way that the team is currently constructed, I easily could see if something happened where Sasha either wasn't working out or got injured or something happened there, you would just slide Trey Lyles right over to play the 4. Then you would bring a guy like Alex Lynn off the bench, or Neemias Queta, or Nerlens Noel, you know, whoever's going to make that final cut as far as like the third center. Like, you have adjustability here, where I think you can make up for any of these guys. And I'd even say, like, look, if Chris Duarte doesn't work out, like, that's okay. He's like your back into the rotation guy as of right now. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be the way it is, but, you know, I think it's already penciled in, or, you know, pretty strongly, that Fox will play 34, 35 minutes. Davion Mitchell is going to play like 18 minutes. Malik Monk's going to play 22 to 24 minutes. Kevin Huerter's going to play 28 to 30 minutes. Like, I've already ran out of minutes. So I've already got to go steal minutes at that small forward spot, where we all know that, you know, the bulk of the minutes are going to Harrison Barnes. But as soon as Harrison goes off the court, there's a good chance that Keegan Murray's going to slide over, and that's where Sasha Vezenkov gets his minutes. So again, I could make a rotation that didn't include a guy like Duarte. He has an opportunity to make it and to play and to be part of this group, but there's also potential for him not to be in a, you know, a standard rotation where he's playing any more than like 8 to 12 minutes a game.
I agree with what James said not too long ago, though. The depth on this team. This is why I was so said it with my chest a couple weeks ago, and even last week, about, I think this team is good. Like, they're going to be one of the top teams in the league. I really believe that. I think this is a 50-plus win team, and it's because of what James just talked about, the depth. You know, the options that they have. You know, they have guys that play multiple positions. They got guys that, you know, that if they don't play for 2 or 3 games, can slide into a different role and excel. And the shooting is the one thing that gets me every time. The way they can shoot the rock. Now adding a guy like Sasha, Trey Lyles, some of the games I was watching over the weekend, just going back with these top 25, like, this guy can shoot the rock, right? And you add that to a guy like De'Aaron Fox and what he's able to do one-on-one against anybody in the league. You add that with Domantas Sabonis and what he's able to do one-on-one. And you got to kind of pick your poison. And I just think you also add all that with Jay Triano and what he's able to create on the offensive end. And it's just going to put the defense in a compromising position more times than not and get wide open looks. That's all you could ask for. And I think they have the guys that can knock down those wide open looks. So I'm hyped. Rookie of the year, Sasha, sure, whatever. This team is going to be 50-plus wins this year.
Yeah, I mean, like, whether I'm going to put Sasha in the rookie of the year conversation, I'm probably not. And it's not because of his defense. It's because he's not a starter, and he's not going to get the opportunity to put up the type of numbers that some of these other guys are going to. I mean, Scoot Henderson's going to be able to put up monster numbers. Chet Holmgren is going to stuff a stat sheet like nobody's business.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, I forgot about Chet.
Yeah, we're talking about like Andre Kirilenko type, you know, stat stuffer. That's what he's going to do. He's going to go out and just dominate. But I think, like, Casey, to a bigger point that you were kind of like going around here, I'll say this. One of the brilliant things about Rick Adelman, and I've said this for a long time, but Rick Adelman to me was the best next man up coach that I've ever seen. Like, it didn't matter who went down. He was able to slide someone else in. I mean, one of the Kings' best seasons, what they went over 60 games, it's with Chris Webber out the entire year until really late. And he was able to fill the void with guys like Brad Miller and, you know, guys like Vlade Divac. And, you know, but it wasn't just that. It was like when Mike Bibby went out, they had a plan. When Pedro Stojakovic went out, Hedo Turkoglu stepped right in. When I always go back to like the Houston Rockets, Rick Adelman, when they're cruising along and they got like an 11-game win streak and Yao Ming goes out and they keep winning. And then like 2 games later, Tracy McGrady goes out and they keep winning, and they end up winning like 21 games in a row without their 2 stars. That's who Rick Adelman was as a coach. Now I bring it around to this team, and that's what I'm looking at for Mike Brown. Mike Brown now has the next man up for every position. And they're not so far away from the player that they're replacing. They're very similar in style. They're very similar in what they do. And when you have a void, you're not trying to reinvent the wheel on the fly because you had someone go out for 2 weeks. You're plugging someone in who knows the job. The other players around them know that it's their time to step up and maybe give you a little bit more each and every game. But the core group is going to be a group that is very interchangeable, not very replaceable. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying is that they're very unique and that they're very similar to each other. And so they're going to have this ability again. And it's not just about injuries. When you have 2 guys have a bad shooting night, you got 4 more that can not have a bad shooting night. And so we can have, Casey, you kept talking about it all last year, right? Anytime that they made 13 threes or more, is that what the number was, that they won the game? Well, like they're going to have so many moving pieces here that if somebody is having an off night or someone's not feeling well, if someone's just flat out missing, you just swap him out for a different guy that plays a similar role in a similar position. The 2 key components are always going to be Sabonis and Fox, but everybody else around them are very interchangeable. And so I kind of like what we're seeing here. And I think that there's a way that that they can like sort of build a culture of this type of next man up mentality that Rick Adelman was so brilliant at doing.
Is the Kings' ability on the offensive end a product of like, this is just a really good roster with guys who know their role? Because we've seen gimmick offenses in the past and they never last long. And when I watch Sacramento, I don't feel like they're a gimmick offense. I feel like they just have players who are really good in their role.
Yeah, I think being a star in your role is a huge part of what they're doing here. But I also, the basketball IQ on this team is off the charts. Like this is such a smart basketball team. And that's what helps them get through the rough times. Like when you think that things are going south, you rely on not athleticism, not some gimmick. You're relying on just being better at what you're doing and just getting back to who you are. And once you find yourself, you start rolling again. And so I think that like when you strip away a lot of, what we talk about, the things that are missing from this team, you don't always get the things that are missing in the package that they're getting them in right now. So like you can want all the athleticism in the world, but if they're only, like trying to play defense with their athleticism and not with their understanding of the game, you're always going to run into limitation. And I think this team specifically, their limitation is they're not a bunch of high flyers, a bunch of ground-based guys, but that doesn't matter. They're going to play with speed. They're going to play with pace. They're going to play with great shooting. They're going to beat you with like all kinds of fun stuff. It's just not a bunch of over the rim, high flying, crazy stuff. And that's okay. It's just different. And so, yeah, I think that they'll be okay. And in that aspect. And I don't know. Did I answer your question, Damian?
No, you did. It's about like, yeah, you did. The structure of the roster is why this works. It's not some Chip Kelly offense that like that teams have had a year to figure out now, and 2 to 4 games to figure out, and well, that's just not going to happen this year. No, Kevin Huerter can still shoot.
Right.
Domas can still rebound. Malik can still play make. De'Aaron can still do everything. Kevin Huerter, like all of those things are still in play, and that is what allows them to play the offense that they do, rather than them being successful because of the offense that they play. That type of stuff to me can be figured out. Great shooting, you just have to deal with it. And you guard it the best you can. which I believe teams were doing last year, largely unsuccessfully.
Yeah, I mean, the way that this team gets each other open, that's why they always have a good look. I mean, even in the playoffs, they missed so many wide open shots that, I mean, it wasn't that they were being defended closely. It was all about missing wide open shots. And that's where I think that having multiple people that can basically do the same job, it does come in handy. Now, again, it is nice to have other pieces that are different. And I've always kind of circled De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk as like the two outliers. They're the dudes who are allowed to do crazy things on the court. Everybody else is going to be a finely oiled machine. And while the league is adjusting to who the Kings were last year, the Kings have to be like they have to take their offense to a different level. And so it doesn't mean that they're going to score more points or that they'll beat their offensive rating from last year, but they're starting to develop the chemistry where you have counters on counters. And that's even where bringing in a player like Chris Duarte, who has a major connection already with Domantas Sabonis, knows where he should be. Those are things where he should be able to seamlessly fit in. Even a guy like Sasha Vezenkov, he should be able to seamlessly fit in because you're not going to ask him to do very much in it, at least in the first 20 or 30 games. Need you to rebound when you can. I need you to hit the wide open three. I need you to move. No standing around. And those are things that he naturally does as a player anyways.
James, this kind of sounds crazy to say or to ask. You as well, Damien. Do you think this team is going to be, we're going to get off the fence a little bit, is going to be a top 5 points per game team in the league again next year?
Oh, yeah. I don't think that there's any way that this isn't going to be a top tier team offensively. Now, defensively is a whole nother story. And, I want to see how Mike handles them during the preseason and handles them during the regular, the beginning of the regular season. If like it's going to be, him demanding that you play defense or you don't play. And he now has the option where I think last year he was very limited. Once he got past like a certain number of players, it's like, okay, look, if you're not playing defense, you're going to lose. I can't replace you because I don't have a bunch of players to replace you. But now if you're not playing defense, I got somebody else that can step in and do it.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, this is top 5 offense.
That's
I'm not even remotely concerned about them on the offense.
That's dope to think about, man. Like, all right, you've got a group that is one of the best offensive groups in all of basketball, and you can rely on that. I agree with both of you guys. I expect them to as well. Is it 120? Is it 118? I don't know, but I think they definitely will. That's their
we know what those two numbers mean. 120, 118. That's above the 115 number.
Now.
So unless they're getting substantially worse on the defensive end,
right?
That's 50 win numbers.
That's the whole thing, right? Like they're going to continue to do the same things they do on offense, but we're looking at, I think they're expecting to improve as a defensive unit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible there will be some regression. There is always that possibility. You have no idea. Like, I mean, teams are going to study what the Golden State Warriors did against them in the playoffs and try to figure out the formula to slow the Kings. It's just whether or not the Kings are ready and have counters, and whether Domas decides he can turn around and hit an 18-foot jump shot and change the trajectory of the team again.
I do love the idea of a formula. Like the Warriors aren't good. Like the Warriors, like everybody can go execute what the Warriors did against Sacramento. I always love that type of stuff. We'll come back. We'll talk more Kings basketball with our man James Ham, our 1320 Kings insider. James Ham with Dealing with KC, brought to you by Sky River Casino. Returns here on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320.
The blueprint.
Quick, two quick things. Y'all leave my man Steven
gentlemen.
alone. That man is 6'5". And Ramsey, stop blocking people because they hurt your feelings. Leave I am not Ham alone. I'll be right back.
I froze. And then I unfroze.
There wasn't a one then.
I don't know. I didn't get kicked. That's for sure. What was that TV new?
Yeah, last week. Yep.
It's got a little shimmy to it. I don't know if that's a good thing. I like it though.
Yeah, man. Y'all better be careful with Stephen Brown. Get y'all.
Uh-oh.
You get y'all. It better be easy.
Who do we got for Monday Night Football tonight? Is there Monday Night Football?
Commanders and Ravens.
They are playing?
Yeah.
Well,
OBJ.
that's not very interesting.
OBJ. Lamar's back.
You see the Ravens are on like a 26-game winning streak in the preseason?
Yeah.
It means nothing, but
Yeah, I did see that. They're unbelievable in the preseason.
David, you asked who has a bigger impact this season, Sasha or Trey? I just have a tough time getting away from Trey Lyles. Like watching his impact on this team last season and how many games I thought were completely like changed by Trey Lyles' like presence on the court. I think Sasha's gonna be really good though. I think that those two will be good together. Are the thumbs of Fox and Sabonis healed? I think Fox's finger has been
Index finger
healed up for a long time. I have not talked to Fox, and I haven't talked to Sabonis most of the summer either. But everything I hear from Sabonis is he is doing really good, and that they aren't going to do the surgery. But that could always change. He's not playing for his national team because he wanted to make sure he's 100% healthy. And it's his non-dominant hand, right? It's his right hand.
for Domas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was his right hand.
Yeah. It's funny. Mark Stein is left-handed, so he likes to do his all lefty team. And like most of the team is Sacramento Kings because they have so many lefties.
We got Fox, Sabonis.
Keegan.
Yeah, Keegan is left-handed.
There's
Well,
someone
in
else.
this case, is LeBron on there?
No. Is he left-handed off the court?
Left-handed. Only thing he does is shoot a basketball right-handed.
Well, Keegan shoots
That's
the ball
how Keegan
right-handed.
is, right?
Yeah, Keegan shoots right-handed. His brother
That's
shoots
what I'm saying.
left-handed.
Who does?
His brother does.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's more though. I can't remember who else is lefty. And they used to have Bagley, who was left-handed. Oh yeah. See, Chris Scott said Sasha's a lefty. Yep. Man, the chatty house is all kinds of crazy today. What's going on?
That's every day.
Someone getting blocked a whole bunch, like band hammers going on here.
Ramsey, I'm not going to tell you again, man. Chill. Stop blocking. I am not him. He didn't. Stop it.
Did it again?
Yeah, stop, Ramsey. Ramsey is a little dictator with that block button.
Come on, Ramsey.
People, I always mention this. Like my internet is super fast. It just cuts. Like it's not that I have slow internet. I'm like right next to my router
coming back
and
in.
everything else.
Coming back. Hang on. Back here with our 1320 Kings insider and creator of the Kings Beat, James Ham, Sacramento sports leader. King season not too far away. Football season. Ham, did the 37th annual fantasy football draft happen yet?
No, we're always on the Monday of of Labor Day, right before the season starts.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, we always wait until the last possible minute. Yeah, you don't want to have that injury ruin everyone's season.
So, but you're like in a what they call a keeper league, right? So you still have Patrick Mahomes for like his whole career, right?
I've had Mahomes forever.
So
yeah.
what are we drafting here?
Well, we only have two-man keeper. So, and we keep a defensive player because we do independent defensive players. I swear that was just thunder and lightning. That was wild. Yeah, so we're able to, you can keep 1, 2, or 0, and you just enter the draft earlier if you don't keep anyone. So we'll keep Mahomes, which people always say don't keep a quarterback, but I don't know, we've won the Super Bowl 2 out of the last 5 years with him. And we lost the Super Bowl 1 year with him.
Talk to him.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep Mahomes, and plus he's the best. It's the best team name ever because we're rolling with Mahomes.
Rolling with my homies.
Okay.
Yep.
That's-
Yeah.
You know about Clueless, man.
Clueless.
Well, not enough to sing that song. So
Rolling with the homies.
still in the deck.
R.I.P. Brittany Murphy.
Brittany Murphy. Yep.
Stacey Dash, R.I.P. Stacey Dash.
Well, she's still alive, but
Well,
even if
but
she was,
she is, but she's not.
Didn't
she's
she
no
try to-
longer. She's no longer with us.
didn't she try to come back?
Yeah,
Like we
I don't know.
she tried to
Paul-
come back after the DMX video, and it was like, no, ma'am.
ain't
No.
having all that.
And Paul Rudd looks identical, still the same.
He does look exactly the same. That's super wild.
That's
Yeah, it is.
Super
It is
wild.
wild.
He
Shout
looks
out
super-
Donald Faison.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Scrubs.
I never watched that show. I never seen
Neither did I.
Scrubs. I heard it was
Oh.
really, really good, but I've never watched it.
That's spectacular. Him and Zach Braff, incredible. Look at
Did
us
you-
getting on a weird tangent.
What show were you watching? James was just starting some. Was it Hijack?
No,
What I feel like you were watching something, and I can't. Did you watch the?
you had me watching the snow one.
Oh, Snowfall. Yeah. Are you? That's it.
Snowfall.
Are you still watching Snowfall?
No, I got
The
like 2.5 seasons in, I think, and it started getting funky. I'm like,
Yeah, no, it
"Eh."
gets weird. Yeah, no, come back, him. You got to finish
You
it.
didn't even get
Yeah.
to the tiger yet, huh?
Yeah.
How
You
many-
didn't get the tiger walking through South Central yet.
How
Like
many
that.
seasons? Is it 5 seasons?
It's not
6
six.
seasons.
Yeah, it's only 6 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, I really do bust through a TV show like once every day or two, like an entire run, especially during the off season. Just how my brain works. I watch while I'm doing other things.
Hmm.
Yeah, people like surprised I watch Snowfall. I literally watch everything.
You do watch a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are a connoisseur of television and movies. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And now football season's right around the corner, and
Hmm.
then before you know it,
Shout out to my Michigan Wolverines who are
why?
They having self accountability.
Look at that self-imposes 3-game suspension.
We're having accountability. We mistakenly
These
broke the
Harbaughs.
rules, and we're not going to let ourselves off the hook for that. And that's why we're having a self-imposed
I wonder
suspension.
if
because
John
we have
calls them.
integrity.
Like, bro, you're embarrassing. You're embarrassing us. Will you stop it? Look at missing East Carolina and UNLV.
Hey, what's
and
the lowest percentage
Bowling
chance to
Green.
win there in those 4 games?
They-
That's
95.
awesome.
It's ridiculous.
Are we
That's-
gonna have Daryl Morey do this too? Take a self-imposed. Sorry, I lied.
Well, Daryl Morey, I talked about it earlier, James. Daryl Morey needs to just, if James keeps this up, you're going to have to tell the world the truth.
Hard not him.
Yeah,
No.
not him. But if he keeps it up, you're going to have to come out and be like, look, man, I know you want to be traded. Nobody wants you. Like, that's just what it is. You keep doing all this crazy stuff. Nobody wants you. So you're talking about I lied. You're talking about you want to be traded. You acting like a jackass isn't helping that. Nobody wants you, man.
I like Trista's video because did James Harden like tweet? I mean, did he put on Instagram like a fat suit
Yeah.
hanging in a closet? Like
Yeah.
what is happening here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
We were trying
I
to,
don't know.
real quick, James, we were trying to figure out, can you find a team that might say, hey, yeah, we'll take on James Harden?
I think there are plenty of teams that take me on before they take him on.
I
Like
agree.
I saw you slip there. Yeah, I think you can. I mean, like, look, it looks like the Clippers are redemption city, so like maybe you can find some sort of trade there. I just don't know that they have the financial pieces to make it work, and that's tough. And then I'm not sure that a lot of teams like who needs that, who wants that as part of their culture and as part of what they're doing. And you got to have a very specific system for him to actually fit in and actually mean something to your team, to wins and losses. Or you just have to not care about wins and losses and just like you need something to bide the time until your young players get good. And even then, I'm not sure that you want James Harden around your young players, Tuesday nights in Atlanta.
Vince Goodwill said on Yahoo that Daryl Morey wants first rounders that the Clippers aren't willing to give up. And there's no chance I'm giving up first round picks for a year with James Harden.
No. And
there's no chance I'm giving up first round picks for anything, any amount of time with James Harden.
I agree just off of that alone. But then you throw on the fact of if I'm the Clippers, well, who am I competing against? Why would I give you first round
right,
picks?
Exactly.
Like I know what's going. Nobody else wants them. Even if we're interested, nobody else is this interested.
He opted in and asked out. That's sign number one. No one wanted to sign him. If he knew he could have signed somewhere else, he would have. But he didn't. He wanted the money, and he knew that was the only way he was going to get it was by opting in.
Yeah, I think he could have got 15 million somewhere else. He could have got,
that's not 36.
No, he could have got the mid-level, a 2-year mid-level or a 3-year mid-level, and someone would have come up with some money, but he wanted the money. You're right.
And that's his NBA future.
Yeah.
That's his NBA future right there.
I mean, he's still got a place in the league, but the money that he thinks he should be getting, those days are done.
Hey, he might not have a place in the league if this thing goes ultra bad because he's looking stupid.
And when I say that, I'm talking talent wise, but like you said,
for sure.
You add all this other stuff in, he may be poorly behaving himself out of the league.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think where he's heading, and I know you guys are probably not going to like that I say this, but he's heading into Carmelo range where there's enough of you don't like his game and some of the other stuff where you're not going to put up with him. And then there's going to be quite a few teams around the league that are like, yeah, we're just not bringing that into our culture. And so you're getting close to that moment. And I don't know, we'll have to see how it works out there in Philly, but like, what a mess. Like, I guess this is good summer drama, right?
Carmelo never
definitely
sniffed this as far as like, we don't want him around. He never sniffed what James Harden is.
But he sat out an entire year, like where no one would sign him. Carmelo. That's my point. Like,
did he sit out an entire year or just was that the year? Wasn't someone holding him hostage?
I don't think so.
Was he just freely out for a year, or did someone? I feel like someone had his contract for a year and just. See, I always forget this. I always forget this part. That's the reason I hate Daryl Morey.
Yeah,
it's because of what he did to Carmelo. What he did to Carmelo was one of the trashiest things that's happened in the NBA in the last 20 years. I always forget. God, I really don't like Daryl Morey. Why is that? This is why. It's the Carmelo Anthony stuff. Yeah. That's the most low budget move in NBA history. And just sat him and sent him home and held on to that contract so he couldn't play. This is a battle of two people who really suck. James Harden versus Daryl Morey.
There's no good in this situation.
There's no good.
It's like when evil battles evil.
Yeah, like I haven't had that many conversations with James Harden over the years, like being in the locker room. But I will say, like, there was a time when like him and Dwight Howard together were not a good mix because basically we have a window after a game where they have availability. And they would wait, at least in Sacramento, what they did is they waited until there was like 2 minutes left in the window. And then they both chose to go talk to the media at the same time on the opposite sides of the room. So you had to choose who you were going to talk to. And it was just one of those things where you're just like, okay, man, it's just not you're doing something intentionally where, not to like single out a completely different type of player, but like you walk into the Timberwolves locker room years ago or the Cavs locker room and Kevin Love's just sitting there waiting in his uniform still and like, hey, come on over, guys. Let's get this out of the way. We all got a job to do. I'll go ahead and take care of you now. And then I'll go get cleaned up. And he'll bite the bullet for his teammates. He'll give you, 7 or 8 minutes worth of sound while a bunch of guys clear out. And then some other guys will talk, but there's certain players that get the media side of it and certain that don't, or just abuse it. And Harden was always one of those guys that like, he liked to abuse it. just take advantage where he could.
Have you watched Team USA at all?
Watched a little bit. I'm not that enthused by it. I don't know.
Yeah, I understandably, these are just the exhibition games, but I had serious FOMO when I saw the tweets about Anthony Edwards and the comeback that they had last night. I feel like the collective NBA world just realized last night, hey, Anthony Edwards might be that dude. Yeah,
I think so too.
He had a big night. Apparently, Tyrese had a big part in their 18-0 run that closed out their comeback win last night.
Yeah, I think it's good that Tyrese is getting to play with a player like him, because it's another really like high usage, a little bit ball dominant type player. And it's good for him to have to play and figure it out because he's got Benedict Mathurin back at home that he's going to have to play with, that he needs to figure out how to play with Edwards so he can show Mathurin how to play as a team, how they can move forward as a tandem for the future. And so I do think it's because Mathurin is a similar style of player to Anthony Edwards. He's not as talented, but he's definitely got a ton of talent. So I think this is such a good experience for those guys. And you can look at it like as a big picture, like they're getting to represent their country. They're getting to do all these things, but you can also look at it like, hey, these are valuable things to learn as a player and get experience.
The killer for Team USA in this particular situation is going to be there in the Philippines. So when they start things on Saturday, they're going to play at 5:40 local time. Next game on Monday is at 5:40 a.m., local time. Next game is 5:40 a.m. local time against Greece. And then on Wednesday, they play Jordan, not Michael, but they're playing Jordan at 4:40. Maybe I might watch these games.
I'll be up for him.
You're already working out at that moment, right?
And probably I usually try to 30, maybe 7. But yeah, it's going to be tough to watch a lot of these live.
I think I'll get up and watch one or two of them. Like I did it with World Cup soccer here, with watching the women play in the middle of the night. Like every once in a while, it's okay to stay up late and watch them. And those games are like starting at 2:00 in the morning or 3:00 in the morning. So that's a little worse because then you got to stay up.
See, that's easier for me. I could stay up before waking up early. Once again, I did wake up about a month ago, 5 a.m. to watch boxing. That was a one time.
People are in the chatty house bringing up DeAndre Ayton, who's playing really well. Hey, good for DeAndre Ayton playing well for the Bahamas. The bigger thing there, I'm glad that DeAndre Ayton and Buddy Hield appear to have buried the hatchet and are playing together, because that was not always the case. There was a
Bahamas beef.
Yeah, there was a Bahama beef there. Definitely some. I think parents went back and forth, some weird stuff there.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I'm glad that that's worked itself out. And Eric Gordon is playing with those guys.
Yeah.
So kind of 3 solid NBA players can probably do a heavy amount of damage in the buildup to something like the World Cup.
Okay.
Looking forward to the World Cup though. Like I said, maybe I'll try and get up to watch some of these games because I like the group play. I'm not really crazy about the group that they're in, but I think once you get in the champion or tournament style play, I think we're gonna see some good games.
I'm just gonna have to miss it. I'm not getting up at 2:00.
If
the 4:30 starts, I can catch.
Yeah, most of them are 5:40.
I could do that. Yeah, I could do that.
I'll
tell you what happened.
I might catch the second half. Ryan's sisters are moving about 6 o'clock.
There's some great nicknames they're coming up with, the Bahama Drama or Bahama Beef. Yeah, I like that.
I like the Bahama Beef. I don't know why the Bahama Beef. The Bahama Drama is fun though. We don't want either. We want Buddy to get along with his teammates. That's what we want. James, for like a month, we've been doing the top 25 games of the Kings season. And about 2 weeks ago, we realized this was going to be ridiculous when we got to game number 5. So weigh in on this. Top 25 games of the Kings season. This includes the postseason, by the way. Top 25 games of the Kings season. Game number 5. was a 40-point blowout against the Portland Trailblazers, where the Sacramento Kings clinched a playoff spot. You agree with that?
Game 5 of the regular season, they clinched a playoff spot.
No. The game number 5 on the list.
On the top 25
Game number
list.
5 on our top 25 list was the game where they clinched against Portland.
Oh.
So the herder, the herder shot that blew off the roof of the Golden One Center, that was like 11.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
What am I doing?
It was 7.
Oh, okay, it was 7. The De'Aaron Fox walk-offs were
nice.
Later.
The one in Chicago was 15. Orlando was 6.
Okay, so this one's 25. Is that what you're saying?
5.
I have them breaking the playoff drought as number 5 this year.
No, I'm in disagreement. I mean, I don't agree. I think it was like that was such a. You knew it was coming. I mean, it can be top 15, but it was like, yeah, you knew it was coming. Yeah,
it doesn't.
You know,
my whole point, James, is it doesn't matter. This isn't even this year clinching the playoffs. I'll give you this: if it was this year, this clinching the playoff game, it might not even make the list, right? It might not. It's just whatever. You make the playoffs for the second year in a row, cool. Probably won't even make the list. This was a game that had been waited for 16 years. They could have played the Blind Sisters of the Poor and beat them by 40,000. Doesn't matter.
Would have been impressive.
This is what everybody's been waiting for almost 2 decades.
Would have been.
Yeah, it's number 5.
Been 25.
Didn't we have like the previous games were at home and they just couldn't win? I think that's what ruined it. If it would have been at home,
ruin anything. They made the playoffs. They clinched the playoffs. Nothing got ruined.
It took away from that moment.
Ruined.
It took away from that moment.
Yeah, I mean, we had these moments.
I had no reaction when they beat Portland.
It was like, well, yeah. I mean, they didn't back into the playoffs
to hang out with 1140. I got pictures of it.
I wasn't alone. I was out there.
You're out there.
I wasn't alone.
I forgot about that.
You and the rest of the news crews that were out there, and Deuce and Mo.
Yeah.
Half of the people that were there were media people,
and they just kept like stringing together a picture of the same people, like getting it from different angles, like making it collaborative. Kenny and Reese.
The moment. It's out there. It's the moment. This is a moment that was 16 years in the making. It's as simple as that. It was 16 years in the making.
Okay. It's your list. You can do whatever you want to with the list. It's your list.
Yeah.
It's fine. If you believe that this is where the game should be,
Sam said it should be top 15, maybe. You said it.
I said 25. It's fine at 25. No one would look down on it if this game was 25.
Number 5.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that 5.
Number 5.
I can't wait to see what's left.
None of that other stuff matters if this doesn't happen. We're not even doing a list.
Bro,
if that day doesn't happen. I don't care who they were playing. No matter. If that day don't happen, none of this matters.
I understand.
What if it would have, like on a Wednesday, the day before, they would have gotten the playoffs by someone else losing? Yeah, because I kind of felt like that was going to happen.
Well, the game wouldn't even have happened.
Like, that backup
that's
noise.
Not even a game. Like they're not even playing.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, if they would have said they would have lost Portland's game, but the Mavericks lost and they clinched the playoffs. No, I probably wouldn't have put on there.
Just would have put March 29th on there. Not
they
the
lost
game.
The game.
Just
yeah,
March
so
29th.
To answer that question.
The story would have been them losing a game to that Portland team.
Right.
Yeah, but I was at the game. What was that? 2019 when they lost the last game of the season after they went up, like they scored 86 in the first half or 84 in the first half.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, like, oh no, like it was you knew Bloody Monday was coming and like everyone was getting fired the next day. Yeah, that was a bad night in Portland. Always got good breakfast food though.
Wow.
Good for
Portland doesn't disappoint. And you're sitting there writing while eating good breakfast food.
Is that what Portland's known for? Is their breakfast food?
Oh, they're creative up there. No, they're known for their crappy IPAs, which I'm not a fan of.
Oh,
But that and Voodoo Donuts, I guess so. Maybe.
oh
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, but they do a good breakfast up there. So sitting there
And-
fielding phone calls and writing about coaches getting fired and
They had
Yeah,
a good
and
real
so
world
on.
in Portland.
Where was the original? Was that New York
New
or
York, probably. I think San Francisco
I
was
thought
second year.
Seattle. Did Seattle have one?
Seattle did have one relatively early.
Okay.
I used to watch the show. I came in
Never
around
really
Miami,
got into it.
the first Miami season. It's a great show. Now it's every show on TV.
Was that the original reality show?
I
Which
feel
one?
like Road Rules was first.
I thought Real World was before Road Rules.
I could be wrong.
I think Real World. Yeah. And then Big
Yeah.
Brother.
Shout out
was
to the
big
homie
early.
Darrell, who's a Real World, Road Rules, the Challenge legend. His son plays on my basketball team. Shout out to Darrell.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Legends. Shout out to Kevin John. Wasn't he on one of those?
He was on. No, he was on.
What was he on again?
He was on. I Love New York.
Oh,
Yes.
even better. Even better.
Hey, and shout out to Kevin John, who graduated from college this weekend.
Yes, indeed.
Good
He
for
did.
Kevin.
No,
He's a
that
good
was
man.
great.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's absolutely fantastic.
He's a
James,
bundle of energy.
as are you. We appreciate you, James, as always. Become a premium subscriber over at thekingsbeat.com. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast as well, kingsbeat.com. All of the great info for your Sacramento Kings. We're headed